Meeting format, we're going to talk about the reasons for the study, the current status of walking and biking in Monona, goals and objectives, key routes, options, and then next steps. So let's start with reasons for the study. We really have 5, or we're going to discuss 5. Okay, so the Monona Comprehensive Plan, which was done maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's a pretty good plan, it's online, but under the transportation section, under policies, it's to promote a multimodal transportation system. And under the policies portion, it says create an environment conducive to pedestrians, cyclists along major vehicle routes by maintaining bicycle lanes and promoting pedestrian scale amenities and development. Develop and maintain a comprehensive system of bicycle and pedestrian facilities in Monona that connect to existing regional facilities. And then during the reconstruction of local streets, evaluate the expansion of bicycle and pedestrian systems. And then it requires private developers to include pedestrian and bicycle accommodations where appropriate. So that's right in your plan. The Monona Community Survey, which is about a year old, where they, how many respondents? Like 446 Monona residents were asked questions regarding services. And there was really kind of 2 factors. One is, how important is this particular service, right? And then the second question is, how good is the city doing it? And so right in the top 10, bike and pedestrian accommodations were listed as being actually really quite important. 27 points. And this is, the red represents how well the city is doing it. It's not really the city staff, it's just more, right now your development pattern doesn't have a lot of these facilities in it. Nationally, what are we looking at nationally? This graph kind of shows how many people walked and biked in 1969 versus 2009. Okay, how many go on a school bus? How many come to school on a family vehicle? Okay, and then public transportation. 1969, 48% of school children 5 to 14 years. I have that? Okay. Walked or biked to school. Now that's just 13%. So it's quite a bit. There's another source that actually was even more extreme. It went from 70% down to 13%. Accessibility. Children, this is a child. This is actually a picture I took on Monona Drive. So this is before there were bike lanes. So that's a brave child. Being on Monona Drive before there were bike lanes. Parents drive students to school comprise about 10 to 14% of morning rush hour traffic. And I think if any of you are around the school right during the morning rush hour, it's just kind of, there's a lot of traffic. And does anyone go to school or get to work on time? We're always 5 minutes late, and that's really kind of exhibited in the traffic patterns around the school. As motor vehicle traffic increases, parents become more convinced that walking to school is unsafe for their children, which I can see. And then parents believe that the safest way to school for them is to drive their children, but may not be aware that by driving they contribute to the traffic congestion and traffic dangers surrounding the school. So. My kids went to O'Keefe Middle School. I kind of live in the Over Gardens, but I also walk around here, right around school start, which is about 7:45, right? And there's a fair amount of traffic, and there's kids walking right in the street. So I took pictures, and I think 50% of the kids walk on the curb just like this. It's what they do. It's kind of cool. But the parents don't. I guess the parents don't have as much balance, right? This is the snowstorm that occurred 2 weeks ago. All right, and so I wasn't out there saying, could you go walk in like the hardest place to go? This is where these kids were walking, right through the snowbank. It just wasn't. It was just difficult. Here it is at that crossing, just one street over, right? See the kids. This is a biker, and you can see the slush. I thought he was doing great. In fact, after I took his picture, I said, you are one tough kid. And then there's also around the high school. And there's not a lot of parking on that side of the road where the high school is, and so a lot of them park on this side, or they get dropped off by their parents on this side. And so these streets almost become, a full-width pedestrian way during the start of school. Things to consider: disabled. Okay, I'm often around Bartels Street, and just this weekend I was there, and here's a guy in a wheelchair, right? Pretty much taking the lane. But what's that person do, in the middle of the winter? Older Americans. This picture right here is also on Bartell Street, and I drive by him and I go, "Whoa, I got to get this picture." Because what he has is this is a pick and save shopping cart, okay? And so he's walking right in the middle of the street of Bartels with the shopping cart. And I said, "Do you do this all the time?" He says, "Yeah, I have to." Okay. He says, "This seems hard." He says, "Oh no, it's not so hard now. In the winter, that's when it's hard." That's when it's hard. So we think about when you have access to a vehicle, you just kind of assume that everyone else has access to a vehicle, but that's not really the case. 21% over 65 don't drive. Over 50% of the non-drivers stay at home on a given day because they don't have travel options. And then, just basics. These are basic services. He just needed groceries. Okay, and so he's driving out. And it's a growing segment of the population. If we look at health, these are interesting when you see these graphs. The top graph represents obesity in America. Okay, and the bottom graph represents diabetes, and I'm assuming it's type 2 diabetes. So there you can see the percentages in 1994. That's what it looks like in 2000. Okay, and that's what it looks like in 2013. Okay, so that's all of us. You know what I mean? So we're all not getting as much activity as we did just 25 years ago. I mean, this is less than half my lifetime. Health, 55% of the adult population falls short of activity guidelines, but 43% of people that have safe places to walk within 10 minutes met recommended activity levels, compared with 27 without. So when I drive around, well, notice I say that, drive around. I'm part of the problem. I see people walking on sidewalks. I see people when they're out. I don't see as many people walking in the middle of the street. I do see it. People in walkable neighborhoods did 35 to 45 more minutes of moderate intensity physical activity per week. And then this is an interesting graph. This is put out by the League of American Cyclists, and this is in their report maybe 18 months ago. It was released 18 months ago. So this is the number of bicycle fatalities by age 1975 to 2015. Okay, so if you can see the age 20 and under, you can see the fatalities are going down quite a bit. Okay, but then you look at the people over 25 years, you can see the fatalities going up. I think what's happening is that people are dropping their kids off at school and then getting on their bike and going to work. I really think that's what it is. Dane County, in February of this year, put out a pretty good analysis. It's a report. It's right on there. It's not Dane County. It's actually the Madison Area Transportation Planning Board. Put out an excellent report on safety, bicycle and pedestrian safety in Dane County. Overall, 57% of pedestrians involved in crashes were struck while using a marked crosswalk. Okay, so they're exactly where they're supposed to be, and yet they get hit by a car. Okay, as far as the top crash categories by community, City of Madison, 74% in the intersection. In the suburbs, 64%. In the rest of the county, rural, it's not an intersection. And then the non-intersection, city, very little, suburbs, very little, but then non-intersection grows as you get to the rural areas. The chance of a fatality with speed. This is a big deal. This is actually a big deal. So right here, the top line shows the chance of a fatality if you are struck by a vehicle going this speed right here. Okay? So this is 70 years old. The middle line is all ages, and then the bottom line is 30 years old. Okay? So you can see that if we're in the 25 miles per hour, we're between 3% and 13%, which is still high, but that's manageable. If you just go 10 miles an hour faster, which is 30 miles an hour. Do any of you think you have cars that go 30 miles an hour on your streets? Right? Just want, it doesn't seem that fast when you're in the car, right? Okay. Look at, we're up to probably about almost 50% for a 70-year-old. And if you're going 35, speed is a huge issue when you're looking at fatalities. So what's the current status of biking, walking and biking in Monona? These are our destinations. The red represents commercial activity. The blue represents kind of institutional destinations like the pool and City Hall and all that. And then the green represents open spaces. I think we got that right. This is what your current sidewalk network looks like. Okay. So about 18% of the streets have sidewalk. And I'm including Monona Drive and Broadway in that. So if I took out Monona Drive and Broadway, then it would be less, right? These are the designated bike routes through Monona. And I think these are... And notice that you have Tony Watha up there. Do anyone here on Tony Watha? Are there a lot of bikes that go on Tony Watha?
Tons.
Really?
Yeah.
Because there's that hill that's kind of an impediment, right? I just stay on Winnipeg. I don't want to go up that hill. But okay, so that's why
It's more scenic.
It is.
Part of it is about a scenic ride around the lake.
Yeah, it is. So for about 3/4 of a mile, I don't see the scenery, so I don't have to climb the hill. So okay, great. So now what we're doing is we're doing goals and objectives. This committee, we worked together. We took a couple of goals and objectives from other communities that have had bicycle and pedestrian plans, because you really want to start. What are you really trying to accomplish? Okay? And we came up with a draft set. And what we'd like to do is take maybe the next 3 or 4 minutes and look at the goals and objectives and see if maybe we could just, is there anything we're missing? Are we capturing this correctly? Is there a word or two that should be changed? So the goal is to provide safe and convenient pedestrian bicycle accommodations that connect Monona neighborhoods to community destinations and the greater region. The objectives include providing off-street pedestrian routes to schools, community facilities, and businesses. Provide bike route options that connect neighborhoods to schools, community, and businesses. Provide high-quality pedestrian bicycle connections to adjacent communities and regional facilities. So you're thinking, is that a duplication? I think the first two really have to do more with being inside Monona, right here, where that third objective is how do we connect to Madison on the north side, and how do we connect to that new bridge that goes across the marsh, on the south side. Are those connections good? And then promote street and intersection design that lowers travel speeds and safely accommodates pedestrian and bicycle movements. So right now, I'd like to say, we have it right. Is this what it should be? Do you have any suggested word modifications? Additions? Yes?
Yeah, I noticed your schools being so maybe parks mentioned that.
Parks? Okay. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, other objectives? Okay, parks. Okay. Others? Yes.
I have a question.
Sure,
Then
question.
Comment. So my question on the last bullet point, promote street intersection design that lowers travel speeds. So what comes to mind is like a speed bump. Is that what you mean by that?
It can be. Actually, after we get through this, I have a couple of examples. Okay, so,
And then my addition.
yeah.
to your
Okay,
objectives-
addition.
To your objectives would be to provide a solution that, how do I say this? That works together with the natural environment.
Okay, so the natural environment or the natural and urban environment? Okay, because like, yeah, trees. All right, you guys have beautiful canopy trees. I mean, every street you just go down and you got beautiful trees. And so that's kind of what, you don't want to lose the trees.
Well, I mean, there's a balance, obviously.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe their trees, but not my trees. Okay, all right. Preserves environment, and the idea is trees. Okay, and I might actually kind of use this, I'm going to use a word called context sensitive. Then we don't necessarily go down and just kind of bulldoze one side of the street, but we try and figure out how can we place facilities in a way that is sensitive to the context that we're in. Okay? So, good, yes?
Is one of the goals to slow down traffic everywhere in Monona?
It could be. Would you like it to be?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Yeah. So, slow down. All right, so I'll give you maybe, I travel on Sylvan. Anyone from kind of the south side of town? Sylvan? Yeah. Are you on Sylvan?
No, I'm on Winterthur,
Okay,
but
whatever.
I know where Sylvan.
Yeah, it's so, so I think that's about 32 feet, you know, face to face, but there's never any parked cars, right? And it's a pretty straight road. So I think cars go relatively quickly down that road, you know, and so there's nothing really to slow it down. Okay.
So,
Yes.
so this whole speed kills, right? I mean, we've got the graph up there. that says-
Yes, speed kills,
So,
yes.
that idea of trying to slow things down is a really good idea. Is there a way to force more traffic out onto the larger street, which is?
Monona Drive. Or Winnicott. Just get all that traffic out of Winnicott.
Winnicott is one of the most beautiful.
Oh, you want Monona Drive?
Monona Drive, yeah. I mean, Winnicott is one of the most beautiful streets in the
Yeah.
whole area. And it should be enjoyed and not fast. And to try to force more traffic out onto where it's.
Yeah, tell you what, I don't know, that might be beyond this, but I'm gonna write it down. Okay, it might be beyond that.
I mean, the day that, you know, they put that turn off coming off of Monona Drive down on the Winnicott, that blew everything.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you are right where Winnicott hits Bridge Street, if you're there, I want to say like 7:40 in the morning, lots of cars, just lots of cars coming down the street. So, I know what you mean. So, okay, yes.
I would like to, again, this goes to what Teresa was just mentioning a little bit, but I'd like to see whatever plan is developed, also be very much in sync, integrated with the city's commitment to sustainability.
Okay.
Which is to say, for instance, as an example, that we end up creating a lot of sidewalks that we're looking at, you know, advanced technologies like, you know, permeable pavement as opposed
Yeah.
to just concrete everywhere.
Or another thing, and Madison is doing this some too, is that we create a terrace. They're often doing these sunken terraces so that they absorb the rainwater rather than shedding the rainwater. So that's and you can actually capture the rainwater. So sustainability and in specific, it seems like stormwater or yeah. So, yeah, before I go on, I'm going to just say, I also have two work associates here, and I've never introduced them, so I just ignored them. Right, so. And I have Jeff help. Jeff, could you? He does everything I do. And then we have Josh Straka. Yeah. I don't know why he's he does a lot of the design. He's a designer. So, yes.
So regarding your comment about people 65 and older having a difficulty getting around,
Yeah.
they also might have trouble shoveling. So that's one thing, like I'm young and have a snowblower, but if I were old and someone had to shovel a big block, that would be difficult.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So,
Accommodate, I guess objective would be accommodate residents who might have difficulty with this.
seniors.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're kind of away from the objectives to comments, but that's okay. We're just gonna take these. I'm gonna pull the ones that are relevant to the objectives, and then we're gonna listen to the comments as well. So seniors have difficulty with winter maintenance. Okay. Yes.
Just wondering if you could speak to why, for the goals and objectives, we're providing something, except for the last point, we're promoting something. Is there a reason why we're not providing elements that lower safety speeds and safely accommodating pedestrians?
Yeah, you know, someone who wrote this should have looked for consistency. Okay, last vote, provide. Okay. Yes.
I think I'd like to see something added about the timeliness of something or some improvements, just because a lot of people have talked about sidewalks things could be years down the road, but with young kids, I'd like to see steps made, you know, something a lot of us would like to see steps made.
So when they're high schoolers, they can help shovel. That's kind of, this is an employment, isn't it? Yeah, maybe. So just write down timeliness. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You pointed out some statistics around like accident rates, kind of nationally, but do we have any accident rates or things like that, or specifically in terms of?
Yeah, we don't have, we haven't taken the time to ferret out crashes that are in Monona. Okay. The best that we have is with the Madison Area Transportation Planning Board, which is for Dane County. It's a pretty good report. It's a pretty good report. And I would say that, you know, I'm in the Madison neighborhood. I'm just over the border. You know, I'm by Over Gardens. So my neighborhood is pretty similar to these neighborhoods. So I would think that they would be comparable. Yes. Yes.
I'm wondering if in goal point number 3, provide high quality pedestrian, I'm wondering if that is also part of high quality is safety. Safety is brought up in a few of these bullet points, and I think it should be kind of paramount in all these considerations.
Okay, so you would like right here to add safety to the third bullet.
Where is that part of a high quality? So you can have a high quality bike path and it's not safe.
Yeah, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking of, like if you guys want to go to the path that goes by the wastewater treatment plant, you know, that's hard to get, you know, and actually the path actually stops, what, 20 feet away from the railroads? And so you have to kind of go on street to get to that path. So, I know what you mean. Okay. Are there others? Yes.
Going back to that gentleman's points, how come you haven't supplied what has occurred in Monona?
What is what?
What accidents have occurred in Monona? What statistics do you have from Monona?
Yeah, we,
Because wouldn't that be wise to provide that instead of what's going on in Madison? Because we're not Madison. So
could.
Why didn't you do it?
We could, actually, you know what I think would, I'd like to do, if I have a card, the city of Monona actually has kind of, before we even got involved, for about 2 or 3 years, they've kind of collected data.
And why isn't that being presented?
Some of it is. How much time do you have? Because there's a reports about 1.5 inches worth of reports, and I can give you the links to those reports.
But it's not on this. Why aren't you supplying all these people information?
Well, actually, if you go to the webpage, I think, Brad, yeah, our webpage for this has links to these reports, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you know that some of the information was supplied in the meeting that you had 10 years ago on the same topic, saying the same thing? Here it is.
Oh, from when?
Yeah, I mean, it's got traffic speeds on certain roads, what the average is, what the variance.
Yeah, so that we do have that.
10 years ago.
Yeah, well.
Nothing really changed except stop sign somewhere.
Well,
I'm sorry, I missed your name. Was it?
My name's Tom.
Tom.
My name's Tom. Okay, so there is a speed study that was done by Walter Ostranka. Okay, that was probably presented maybe 6 years ago.
2009 to 2010.
Something like that. Okay.
10 years ago.
Yeah, we will be taking some speed studies. We're going to be doing it a little bit differently.
Why? You got plenty of time?
Well,
before someone gets killed.
All right.
What's so
okay.
funny?
Okay.
What's so funny?
Well, all right, because I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. Right now, it seems like, are you frustrated that nothing has been done
Yes.
since that? Okay, so could we write that down? I think that's, because right now I'm thinking, you want me to take more speed studies or not more speed studies? And so, right now.
Did you know that there was a meeting like this with minutes and everything?
Well,
about this very topic, probably the same.
Yes, and this is
10 years ago, 2009.
Yeah. I've seen there was a report by Walter. Well, he was the chief then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, Doug, if you.
Yeah. I can briefly address that. I don't want to get, it was 10 years ago about, so I'm not sure how relevant it is. We're looking forward to making improvements. That committee was only focused on the lower Winnequa Road, so it wasn't like this really at all. Other than that, that is one of the areas of focus for the ad hoc committee this time. Again, I think it's more important. I think there's some frustration in one of the comments from in back of how fast is this going to happen.
Okay, routing. So I'm just to finalize, we're going to talk a little bit about routing, and then I'm going to talk about things that can be done. Okay. And the routing, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because all of you have a handout. Okay. So if we could be here for another hour if I say, so what street do we have? But we gave you a handout, and we would like you, if we've missed a street that you feel like should be a pedestrian or roadway, okay, please put it on and put it in our comment box. And if you feel like one street is like Rogan right here, and that's actually where it is, you think, no, that shouldn't be on there, write it down and do it. To the right is where we have our sidewalks, to the left is where we don't. Similar for bikes. Oh, St. Francis School. All right, so this was done about 2 years ago. The city contracted with a university to look at a safe routes. I was a university, wasn't it? Yeah. To look at safe routes to school. Those routes are included on that. We are asking that you do the same thing for biking. These are considered perhaps what the committee felt like were the primary areas for biking, routes for biking. If you agree, please do that if you feel like there should be streets added. Please let that happen. Now I'm going to talk, I said 25 minutes, so I really lied. I'm going to talk briefly about treatments for pedestrians. This is a very typical street. Here you can see that, you guys have a beautiful canopy. It's typically 32 feet face to face. This is very common, of which 60 feet is right of way. 60 feet is right of way. So that means that those trees are within the right of way. So how do we, is there ways that we can, when we reconstruct our street, we can provide sidewalks and, so this is what it looks like, 60 feet, 32 feet face to face. Guys walking in the street, about 4 to 5 feet to the trees. One way would be to narrow the street to 26 feet face to face. Okay. That put in a 6-foot sidewalk here, 6-foot sidewalk on the other side. That doesn't give a lot of space between the sidewalk and the tree. Okay. I personally, right now, I live on a 23-foot street face to face, and I have parking on one side. Okay. Cars do not go fast on my street. Okay. Cars actually, if a car follows, if an opposing car is on my street, we both have to slow for about 5 miles an hour to pass each other. And I actually, as a homeowner, I love that because I have 4 kids. This would be a little bit wider, about 3 feet wider. Another way of handling this would be perhaps we shift the center line of the road 3 feet. Okay, we shift the center line of the road 3 feet, put in a 6-foot sidewalk. We have 5 feet to the tree. Provides a 9 or so foot terrace, and then put the sidewalk right here. These are just examples. This would be on a case-by-case basis, and we had talked about context sensitive, right? So we would look to try and preserve, features that are of value. And I'm gonna use Monona Drive as an example. We altered things on Monona Drive to try and be sensitive to the needs of the business owners. That could be done on a residential street as well. This is an example. This is perhaps a poor example because typically when you have something like this, the tree is really small, right? The tree learns to live in its space. Okay. This is a picture where, that's how it happened. But there could be alterations on where the sidewalk is placed so that you can preserve the trees. Pedestrian treatments, median islands. These actually serve kind of a dual purpose. One, to provide a refuge, but 2, when you have a median island like this, it slows traffic. It slows traffic. So like an example where you can apply that would be just right out there. All the kids crossing right out there. If cars had to travel through a median, they would be going slower. This is a tabletop pedestrian crossing, so this also addresses speeds. They're actually going to be putting, so Monroe Street, they're actually going to be putting tabletops on Monroe Street, right, Joe?
Entire intersections.
Yeah. Cyclists. This is a conventional bike lane. It does help. Even striping a bike lane helps slow travel speeds. This is a buffered bike lane. They're becoming more popular. This shows the buffer. This shows the buffer on the car side, okay, of the parked car side. Oftentimes you can also have the buffer on the traffic side. Okay, so you have a 2-foot buffer between your bike lane and the traffic.
Much better.
Yeah. Cyclists feel much more comfortable with that. This is a cycle path or a separated bicycle facility next to the street. An example of this might be Machinery Road. Do any of you ride around the lake? So right on Machinery Road, this is very similar. And this is a bicycle boulevard. And this is a treatment that I think is actually probably would be appropriate for a lot of streets in Monona, where you have low volumes, less than 1,000 cars per day. And you just put the cyclist and the sharrow, this is called a sharrow, right in the middle of the street, and it just basically tells the motorist, the car, the bike has as much right to be in the middle of that lane as the motorist. this is my way home. This is where I drive, and it's effective. Bike boxes are a new thing. They're for busier intersections. You would maybe consider this like on a Broadway. This would be a treatment you might consider on a Broadway or probably Broadway or Monona Drive. They allow a cyclist at a signal to take a left. Diagonal crossing. Any of you been on a diagonal crossing at Dunning? Yeah. Works great, right? Yeah. And you would do this at a signal-based intersection. So next steps. Please fill out the comment sheets. We'll use these comment sheets at our next meeting to determine what the route should be. Then once we figure out what the route should be, we'll start developing typical sections. What are the typical sections for a street that would work at various locations throughout the city? Imagine this might be 6 more months or so. Perhaps it could go quicker. Yeah. So, and that's that. Yes?
Just one quick question. What are the circles on maps? Do they represent intersections?
Yeah, intersections.
Okay.
Intersections that are kind of different.
Okay, thanks.
You know, like, was it Dean and Winnebago? It's kind of all goofed up, right? No. Good, yes.
I am a senior citizen.
Okay.
I do not drive, so I'm very experienced with walking
Okay,
and
great.
biking in Monona.
Yeah.
Just tell you. So I've got a couple concerns.
Yes.
One, if you're really concerned about pedestrian safety,
Mhm.
on Broadway and Monona Drive, when the walk light goes on and then keeps flashing, all of the through traffic in both directions should have a red light until you get across the street. There are so many times cars come right by you because I think they can beat you in the crosswalk. Wouldn't cost much money.
So here's a question. I want to just explore that a second. Left turning vehicles, are we talking about left turning?
And
vehicles?
right.
Left turning and right turning vehicles, okay.
Go right in front of you.
And these are the vehicles that are on Broadway. And you're crossing,
And I have experience at both Broadway
Yeah.
and Dean Avenue and Monona Drive.
yeah, okay.
Okay. Another thing you could do is strike every crosswalk in Monona.
Yeah.
Not just over here, which I walked off from Maywood across Nichols.
Yeah,
I was in the crosswalk, 4 cars went by, they don't stop. So that's probably an enforcement issue, or a cultural issue.
57% of the injuries occur.
So
People
then
on
my
crosswalks.
other concern is, we're hell bent on sidewalks, I get that from this meeting. As a walker,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, in the winter, it is very unsafe to walk on sidewalks. And I know there's people in this room that don't believe it, but I walk on Nichols Road on the sidewalk 3 times a week, back and forth.
Yeah,
I can't expect the homeowners to clear the snow the second it snows. I mean, you can't. The water accumulates there, it's icy.
There could be
End up
ice.
walking in the street.
okay, so we'll put that down as a comment.
Yeah.
Some would disagree in this room, but.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Okay,
And I
you got that?
think it's hazardous.
Okay, you know, we're at 45 minutes.
Yeah.
I think what we'll do is anyone else hot? We're gonna close this up, and, but I'm here, and Jeff is here, and Doug is here, and Josh is here till 8, right?
Yeah.
So we can, please provide your comments. Thank you for attending. This is a great turnout.